my gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Rooting Mindfully. My name is Yana, and today we are talking about my struggle with plants. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today, like I said, we're talking about some plants that have been struggling in my plant collection, and I'm also giving you an update on plants that were previously struggling but aren't really struggling anymore. And these aren't my transformation plants. These are just plants that I was struggling with, previously. But anyway, I asked my boyfriend, I was like, which order should I do? But he said I should do starting with the bad plants and end with the plants that are doing better. That way I leave on a good note. So that's what we're doing. And so the first plant that I'm struggling with, that I continue to struggle with, is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. And I am just ready to honestly get rid of this plant. I just don't understand why this plant doesn't do well for me. But this is what my Florida Ghost looks like. As you can see, it continues to put out these really bright leaves that obviously can't provide, enough food or energy for themselves. But I've decided that I am just going to cut this plant back. And I think I'm just going to cut this plant all the way back. Like all the way to here. I think I'm going to cut it all back, almost all the way back to all of the green. And then I'm just going to cut up all these to see if I can get a lot of different Florida Ghosts. And we're just going to do that. So I'm going to do a video on this one. And I'm just going to cut it all the way back because I'm tired of it. Obviously, it is struggling putting out white leaves. And it is not doing good. Even this one was coming in green. And it still is like killing itself off. So I put this one, I took you guys' advice. I gave it less light. Less light's not really working. I got tired of it. I put it outside. That's not working. And so I'm just going to cut it back and see what happens. As you can see, the new growth is coming greener. So that's a good sign. But I'm just going to cut this back and maybe we'll be able to grow a whole bunch of babies from it and I'll have a better chance. But that's the first plant. We continue to struggle. The second plant that I'm struggling with, I'm actually very surprised that I'm struggling with this plant. And I feel like this happened all of a sudden. This is my Philodendron. This is my Anthurium forgettii. As you can see, it has a very gorgeous, beautiful leaf. However, when you look at these, like what in the actual is happening? And at first I thought the plant was getting too much sun. Maybe I was giving it too much sun. But now I'm thinking it might be some kind of fungal issue. But it's weird. None of my other plants are having this issue. So I don't know why this one would randomly have this issue. I don't get the leaves wet. You guys know how I feel about misting, getting the leaves wet. So I don't know what the problem is, but it hasn't happened to this leaf. That was the last new leaf that came out, and it's also putting out this cute baby leaf. So what I'm gonna do for this one is I'm also going to just chop off the bad leaves. And then hopefully from here on out, like the newer leaves won't have that issue. I also have been taking care not to touch the plant leaves too much, just so I can make sure it's not me that's spreading the germs. But I'm just making sure that there aren't a lot of pests either. But I'm also going to go through and spray down my plants with some Captain Jacks and some other things. So if you guys want to see that in a video, I can do that as well. I'm probably going to do that this weekend actually, just to go through and spray down all of my plants. It's going to be such a huge thing. Let's put that over there. The next plant that I'm struggling with, and I feel like I struggle with this one off and on, This one I'm also not sure what the issue is. This plant grows so well and then all of a sudden it just takes a dive. But this is my Syngonium mojito, and as you can see, it was growing really well. You can see that the new leaves were coming out a lot lighter, which I like because some of the leaves were coming out really green. You couldn't really see the variegation. And so I wanted to cut this plant back because I was like, I'm tired of it just like looking like straggly. Like, look at all this where there's like no leaves. And you guys know I don't like that look. So I was talking about cutting it back, I think during my transition update, and then the plant just took a dive. And I feel like it just did that on purpose because it heard me talk about it and say I was gonna cut it back, and then it was like, I'll show you, and it just like, you know, decided to tank. So now I'm really gonna cut it all the way back. But yeah, I'm also gonna do that. I'm gonna propagate this plant and start all the way over, and I'm really excited for that actually. And so I'll probably do a video on that. Propagate this one. I want to propagate my lemon lime maranta because I really like how my red one came out, and I'm going to do that Florida Ghost. And I don't know if there's any other plants that I plan on cutting back, but if I do, I'll include them in that video as well. And then the other plant that's struggling, that continues to struggle, I'm ready to sell this plant actually. I'm either going to sell it or I'm going to trade it because I just cannot with this plant. If this new leaf doesn't come out right, I'm selling it or I'm trading it. And this is my Anthurium regale. Do you see how this leaf is getting? And I think it's because I didn't water it on time, so the leaf is kind of like just grown in on itself. It does have a new leaf coming in there. And so if this new leaf doesn't come out right, I'm selling this plant. I'm selling it or I'm trading it. And guys, I live in Delaware. If you're local, hit me up. I will sell or trade this plant. Let me know because I'm ready to let it go. I've had this plant. I got this plant, I think last year, 2020, I got this plant. I've had it for a whole year, and this is all I have to show for it. And so hit me up if you're interested. But yeah, this is the regale. I swear it's the slowest growing plant I've ever had. It's one of my slower growing anthuriums, and I don't even have anything to show for it. I don't even have one good leaf, and I just don't know. The other thing I could do is change out the soil and make it less like fast draining so I can hold on to more moisture. That's another thing that I'm thinking about doing with my anthuriums. But my other anthuriums, you guys should see what they look like. They're looking so much better. But it's just this and the forgettii are my only anthuriums that are struggling right now. All the other ones are growing fine, and they're all in terracotta, and the rest of them are doing fine. Speaking of anthuriums, the one that has really turned the corner, and I'm so excited, is my Anthurium vittariifolium. Look at this new leaf. Like, it is so beautiful. Like the abs are really coming out. He's popping. As you guys can see, the other leaves here. These are the older leaves. And then it just popped out this leaf. And the only thing different that I did with my Anthurium vittariifolium was that I put it on my northeast facing windowsill. And I started just giving it more water. And ever since then, it's just been loving it. It just popped out this huge leaf. It hasn't really hardened all the way, but it's so beautiful. It does keep like getting closer to the window. Like one day it was just like, like, what are you doing? So I had to keep like scooting it from the window. But yeah, it loves it there. And that window really doesn't get that much light. So yeah, my Anthurium vittariifolium. I've been trying to really keep up on the watering, and as you can see, it has been paying off, and I'm so excited. The next plant that has been doing well, that sits next to the vittariifolium, is my Philodendron varicosum. If you guys watch my channel, you know my struggle with this plant. I mean, every time I would get a couple leaves, it would just be doing so well, and then all of a sudden it would just crisp to no end. I mean, just like, and I'd be like what is happening? Like, I would have so many beautiful leaves and they just would just like shrivel up, or it would get like spider mites. And I think I'm finally hitting a stride, because here's one of the crispy, this is an example of what it would do. But now, as you can see, I have all these newer leaves. These are all of the newer leaves since I showed you guys the last time. And look at that, it's just so beautiful. The red is really popping out. Like I said, this is on my northeast facing windowsill. And again, the only thing I've been doing is to make sure that I do not let this plant dry out, and it has been a charm. I haven't had any issues with spider mites. I haven't had any crisping, and I'm really trying to understand some of the plants that I'm struggling with. I've been taking a pause to understand the plants that I'm struggling with, and I did research on this one, and this one, it said that it doesn't like to dry out, so I've been really trying to make sure that I don't let it dry out, and I've been trying to make sure that I don't give it too much light. Just taking a note that the green isn't too neon, because if the green is a lot lighter than this, then it's getting too much light. Also making note that the patterning is coming out darker and the red is coming in dark. That also is an indication that it's getting enough light. So I'm making sure that I'm paying attention to my plants. I'm taking a break from adding plants just so I can make sure the ones that I have are growing well, and it's paid off with this one. The next one that has been doing a lot better is my Philodendron melanochrysum. As you can see, this is a newer leaf, and then it's got a leaf coming in here. This is a newer leaf. You can see that it is beautiful. Look how dark and contrasted that is, and the veining is just popping. I hit the right amount of light with this one. These are kind of tricky when it comes to light, because you want it to grow, but you don't want it to be too much light to where it's a little bleached. So that is looking really great. And then it's got a new leaf here. They do come in like a goldeny orange color, and then they fade down to this darker color. And then it's got some new growth coming in here. But I've also, like I said, been keeping this one more moist. Also, when I keep these plants more moist, especially the melanochrysum, I don't have to help the plant come out of the sheath. I don't have to help it unfurl. It does it all on its own. It doesn't poke itself and put a hole in the leaf. Like, it's been doing so well. So I really noticed with the melanochrysum that you have to make sure that it doesn't dry out. If it starts to dry out, then that's when it starts doing some dumb stuff. Yes, I said the plant does dumb stuff, but I'm so proud that it's doing a lot better. Because you can see what the older leaves were looking like. They did not look good. And if I get up close, you can see like all the spider mite damage. That's all spider mites. That's all spider mites from when I let it dry out too much. So I'm learning from my mistakes, and we're moving forward. Another plant that's doing well, and I don't know what happened, but this plant had randomly died back. This is my Syngonium pink splash. I don't know if it was I don't think it was my last tour. It was my what is it? It's 2020. Was it my summer tour? My summer tour I just did, or maybe it's my spring tour. One of these tours that I showed you, I was keeping this in my bedroom. It was on my windowsill, and it was like dead. It was like all slumped over, and I almost just tossed it. But then I put it in my rehab section, or my infirmary section when I had that, and it started to come back. It took a long time, but it came back. And now I have all these new leaves on the plant. And it put out this last leaf, which is so gorgeous. And so it's got this main plant, and then it's growing this little baby plant. So I'm really happy how it's turning out. And it's a really nice plant. It took forever to come back, and it's taking forever to grow. I can't remember if it took this long to grow the first time I had it, but at least it's doing better. I noticed that this one is a pretty thirsty plant, and I think I do need to start watering my Syngoniums a little bit more, because I think I let them dry out too much, and that's probably one of the main problems that I'm having with my Syngoniums. But we're doing good. That's the pink splash. And the last plant that I want to update you guys, this was on my original struggle plant, because for the longest time, I will tell you about this plant. It's my Philodendron fibrosum. For the longest time, this plant had one leaf in every houseplant tour that I did until recently. And now this is what my fibrosum is looking like. As you can see, these are the older leaves. They don't look so great. And then we got this last leaf, and we have this newer leaf that's growing in here, and it is going to be a beauty. I'm really excited for this plant. I thought I had outsmarted this plant actually, because I wanted this new leaf to come in on this side, because you can see it's bare bones on this side. So I wanted this new leaf to come in on that side so it can go that way, and the plant switched it up and had the leaf coming this way. And so now, because I have one grow light kind of on this side, and then I have the natural light on this side, so the leaf is coming out on this side, which was faced towards the window. So that goes to show you that even though my plants have grow lights and things like that, they still prefer natural lighting. So now when I put it back where it is, I need to put this side facing the window and this side out facing towards the grow light, if that makes sense. But yeah, even with all these grow lights, my plants still prefer natural lighting. Who would have thought? But yeah, that's my Philodendron fibrosum. At some point, I'm going to have to put this plant on a moss pole or some kind of stake. As you can see, there's a new growth about to unfurl for this one, and I wanted them to face that way, but we'll have to finagle that, and I'll get back to you guys. But this is another plant that I also don't let dry out. But I'm finding out that a lot of my philodendrons really don't like to dry out, and they've been doing so much better since not letting them dry out. So I'll probably have to do a video on that, or do a video on my collection, how I take care of them, just so you guys can see them. But yeah, those are, oh, and there's one more plant. Guys, one of my plants was doing so well. My silver lady fern, if you guys remember that fern, I got that fern, it died within 3 days. It just like completely just like died back. So I cut it all the way back, and then it started growing back beautifully. Well, now the plant is being eaten by caterpillars. I kid you not. The other day I was like, I had moved it out of my, it was a good thing. I moved it out of my bedroom and I brought it into the living room. And then I'm just like looking around, checking my grow lights and things like that. And I'm like, what's happening to this plant? Like, why does it look so bad? And I look closer, and there's all these bite marks and just like chew marks and holes. It looked like Swiss cheese, and the plant already kind of looks that way because of the way it grows and it's a fern, but it looked like Swiss cheese. And I looked closer and there was a caterpillar eating it. A caterpillar eating it. I'm just like, and he was going to town. But I was just like, there's no way that one caterpillar did all this damage. So I'm like looking, and there's another caterpillar, and they're brown, so they like blend in with the like the veining of the plant. And I'm like, babe, there's caterpillars eating my plant. So he's like coming, and he plucks off the one caterpillar. Then I'm like, babe, there's another one. So he plucks off another one. And I'm like, oh my God, there's another one. But this one was green. I just barely saw it. And so he was like, oh my God. He was like, there's a lot. And so he's like, where is it? Where is it? And I show him. And of course he didn't see it because it was green, but he plucked that one off. And then today I come in and there's another caterpillar eating the same plant. So outside it went, because there's a swarm of caterpillars, and I can't have them eating my entire collection. So I was like looking around the nearby plants, and none of them have holes in them, but I'm gonna be looking. But that plant's outside because I can't deal. But anyway, so we're either gonna have to really spray that one down, or I'm just gonna buy a replacement. And the way that the caterpillars were eating that plant, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to save it. He was like, I should just cut, like deadhead the whole thing, but I just don't know, guys. I really don't know. And he was like, I'm surprised by all these caterpillars in here that you just don't have a whole bunch of butterflies in the house. And I was like, because they have to like form a cocoon and do all that. And that's like a whole, no. And I was just like, the caterpillar just went to town on my plant. He was just like, well, actually it was caterpillars went to town. I was just like, thanks a lot. But yeah, I like plants, but I don't like bugs. If I see the bugs and things, like I gotta call somebody. But is anyone else like that? He was like, it kind of comes with the territory, but not really, cause like there's things like pests, but then there's things like bugs, like spiders, caterpillars, like wasps. Like I just don't like those kind of bugs. Like I can deal with like thrips and all those, but when they get bigger and bigger, I'm just ugh. But anyway, I'm going on a rant of caterpillars. But yeah, those are all of the plants that were struggling before, that are struggling now, that are not struggling, that I'm going to either chop, prop, or figure out something to do. If you guys want to see any future videos of me chopping and propping, or you guys want to get any more updates on my plants, let me know in the comments section below, or let me know what are some plants you guys are struggling with right now. I'm very curious. And as always, I just want to thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing and watching my videos. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.